Oh, hello. Are you ready for some rye? Because I am. I'm always ready for some rye. My name is Ed, and this is the Rot Gut Review. In a dark town full of corruption and bourbon, one man is seeking justice and the best rye whiskey he can drink. He is Ed O'Mara, Private Rye. Alright, today we're taking a peek at Blaum Brothers Straight Rye. You'll notice Erica isn't here. She hates rye, so she didn't want to be part of this particular video. I've been drinking a lot of rye lately. I love rye. And whenever I do a rye video, she doesn't want to be part of it. Which is too bad, because I'm trying to convert her. It'll never ever happen. Never in a million years. But I promise she'll be back for a bunch of videos next week. So don't worry about that. So let's talk about Blaum Brothers, though. This is actually a sample from Ben Eves. Thank you so much, Mr. Ben Eves. Go check out my Whiskey Den. Awesome guys. He helps run that channel. I'd probably put a link somewhere around here if I'm not an idiot. Blaum Brothers is actually pretty close to me here in Milwaukee. They're just down in Galena, Illinois. I mean, they're on the wrong side of the border, but I'll try not to hold that against them. You know, I like Blaum Brothers' whole aesthetic. On their website, when you go into their about section, they're like, we didn't have a grandfather who distilled, we didn't have a secret family recipe we discovered, we didn't, work with Al Capone or something, whatever bullshit that every single micro distillery seems to say in order to sell their shit. They just are like, we're a couple of dudes, we made some fucking good whiskey, drink it. And also, I do like for their Blaum Brothers rye, they said, oh, we didn't come up with a fabricated backstory for that. It's just our rye. So here, have some. And I feel like that's taking a shot at Templeton. And I dig it. I dig it. Like, surreptitiously throwing some shade. I like it. So this particular rye is actually bottled at 50% alcohol, 100 proof. That's awesome. I appreciate that. I also read that they're using air-dried cooperage. That's another good thing. And even cooler than those two things is the mash bill. So 92% rye, awesome, good, lots of rye. Then 5% smoked malt, and then 3% regular malt. That's kind of cool. Just a little bit of smoked malt in there. I don't know if that's going to be enough to really notice in the drink, but that's a cool idea. It's fun. More and more people are playing around with smoking and peating, and even in traditional American styles. So I dig it. That's awesome. Let's see how it actually worked out in the product. I will say we've had their bourbon before. I think we had it on stream. I wasn't that big a fan of their bourbon, but I really love rye. So let's find out. First thing I'm noticing, it's a little bit of a lighter rye in terms of that just big dill or spice or that pepperiness. Running a little bit more of that fruit style rye, fruitiness, and that you sometimes get with certain ryes. Although that fruitiness is actually, it's an interesting fruitiness because usually rye fruitiness, and I've talked about this before, but I will again, just for your edification, is that usually it runs kind of like a stone fruit thing, like peach or apricot, sometimes a date or plum. This isn't quite that. This is actually running a little bit more like melony. Yeah, kind of a melon. Yeah, kind of a sweeter thing. A little bit of a, sweeter, brighter fruit. Maybe a little bit of apricot, but kind of a melon kind of thing. That's interesting. That's different. All right. Let's get a taste. All right, there we go. That's getting into some rye. That's getting into some rye spice there. That's some of that vegetalness. That's some of that kind of leafy vegetalness. I always say it tastes kind of like how wet leaves smell, but not in a bad way. Sometimes it can get a little overpowering, but a little bit like that. Kind of a eucalyptusy, you know, sweet vegetal. There's a little bit of spice. It's not as spicy as I might have expected, considering 92% rye. It's pretty light on the spice. It's a pretty easy drinker, actually. Not a big bunch of pepper. Not a ton of like allspice or anything like that. It's pretty nice to you. It doesn't really go at you and really hit you. The finish does have some pepper. It does have a little bit of a dilly thing. It's mostly kind of a fig Newton on the finish, though. Yeah, very figgy. Fig Newton. That bready, sweet, mixed with dried fruit. I like that. I like some fig Newtoniness in my ryes. That's cool. I gotta say, I'm not getting a whole lot of that smokiness. There is a slight earthy, darker note underlying a lot of this, but it's very subtle. It's very subtle. So it's not like a big old peat bomb or anything. That little smokiness is just kind of hiding out there. Yeah, this is certainly drinkable. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of eucalyptus, touch of dill, fig Newton. It's hitting some good notes. They're not as big and punchy spicy as I was expecting them to be at 50% though. It's a good whiskey. It's a good whiskey. However, you know me, I like my rye to rip the side of my face off. I want my rye to stick a fist in my fucking mouth, just punch me, boom, 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 take my teeth out. This is not that. This is a little bit more of a controlled, balanced rye. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are really gonna love this. It's just that I really like it when you really go for that heavy dry spice. And this is a little bit more subdued, is what it is. It's a little bit more easy to drink. It's an easy drinking rye at 50%, which is good. That's good. And if that's what they're going for, that's great. There's gonna be plenty of people who are gonna like this. I like this rye a lot better than I like their bourbon. So there you go. I mean, is anyone really surprised by that I liked the rye better than the bourbon? I'm sure Erica would disagree if she were here. So yes, that was Blaum Brothers Rye. I'm gonna finish this little bit off. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I hope you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'd love to see you around here some more. And until next time, make sure to stay healthy, to stay safe, and to stay rotten.